And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Lakers weekend, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. This week's episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos coming tomorrow. We'll be talking more video games for you from the guys at Super BS Gamescast, so check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Overnight, I will go ahead and be dropping the audio version of that wherever you get your podcasts. So, also as well, of course, Joe Soro is here. Go ahead and check him out today as Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. And of course, he is the man behind Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com. And of course, the game, the indie fighting game of the year for 2025, Corrupt, C-U-R-E-U-P-T on Steam. I know we'll be talking here about some football tonight, but I do want to go ahead and mention in the next couple of weeks before the Super Bowl itself, the big game, as it were, we'll be covering in more detail. Hopefully I'll get Chris Ardieri, Joe Soro, Sean Grice, and myself to talk the Super Bowl in an upcoming day, probably next week. As it gets closer and closer, we'll go ahead and do it on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. But I will go ahead and make that available for our subscribers, first and foremost. So go ahead and become a subscriber today. $2.99 a month. Right there, you get videos, shorts, articles, and more. Go ahead and check it out today. $2.99 a month. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to everything that we do right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Thank you, Blue. Always good to have you here, Blue. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford. And I don't know if you want to go in the back of the Wayback Machine 5 years ago today, but on a day where a lot of people are talking football, a lot of people are talking about how the Lakers are on a roll as they head into Charlotte tomorrow for the next game on their road trip. Everybody's excited about that. Everybody's excited about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles in the upcoming Super Bowl. But we take a moment to reflect in the 5 years that it's been as of today on the passing of Kobe Bryant, Gigi Bryant, and 7 others in a tragic, very tragic, truly horrible helicopter crash in Calabasas, California. And here today to go ahead and share some thoughts on that. I mean, he's already shared his thoughts in the past previously on this anniversary, on his thoughts about where he was. So have I. In fact, you could hear me relating that again in the Wayback Machine here on the YouTube channel. You can go ahead and see my original conversations that I had with Laker Tom, Rafael Barlow, and more. So you want to go ahead and check that out. It's always available for you there. But here today is a good man indeed. It is, of course, Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here. And I don't know what these other Lakers, shows that call themselves Laker shows and all that. I don't know what they're doing, but you just can't have an anniversary like this 5 years from one of the most tragic events of this decade. Not only was 2020 starting off with a horrible year because due to COVID, but 2020 also started with the horrible passing of Kobe and Gigi Bryant, along with several others in that tragic helicopter crash. So I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. 5 years later, it still stings. I see the docu-series that's on CNN. I got a chance to check out a little bit of the first episode. I'm going to check it out more later tonight. And again, it still hurts. It still stings. Anytime we go back at the Wayback Machine, like for instance, last night I was sending Mark some old games, like the 2010 closings game in game number 7 against the Boston Celtics. I was also sending him 2002 when they came back from it was 27-point fourth quarter comeback, but it was actually over 30 points. I think 30 points or more that the Lakers were down to the Dallas Mavericks. Kobe was a great part of that. Kobe was a great part of our lives. Kobe was a great part of the Lakers organization. And Kobe and Gigi will always be remembered by us here at the Lakers Fast
Break. I think the world lost what we will never know. We'll never know what we lost. That's the easiest way I can put it. There was going to be a lot of things that Kobe would have had an engine to to improve. Gigi would have been going to UConn right now had she still been here, and there would have been a following that might have dwarfed Caitlin Clark. I remember this because I was talking about it months before the accident. And I was talking to my friend and I was going, dude, we're going to be watching, because it was at that time where we realized we don't have to wait for a son. Gigi's going to be the heir apparent. And everything behind the scenes was saying that this is the one. I don't know if that would have turned out that way, but I would like to think it would have. And had it been that, we were discussing, we're going to be watching the WNBA draft. We're going to be watching whatever team she's playing on, and we're going to be rooting. Like, it's going to be like legit. And it would have changed. It would have changed. It would have changed women's basketball, because the engine was Kobe Bryant. So much so that he wore a hoodie to a Laker game with his daughter. And they sold out of that hoodie, which was a orange with the WNBA logo on it. Sold out. I can't remember if it was 23 minutes or 33 minutes. One of those numbers, I think. Within 23 to 33 minutes. It just was
less than an hour.
Yeah, for sure. And you're talking influence. You know, we use the word influence around these parts in this generation. That guy was an influence. And we were cheated out of it. And I had the unfortunate viewing of what really happened that day. I actually saw a documentary and it was only from the perspective of skilled helicopter people. They detailed what was likely that they detailed everything perfectly. What was going on with the pilot, why it happened, why the helicopters were not up there that day, but because this guy was so skilled and probably had done that hundreds of times. It's just that the 101 time got him this time. And it was really just visibility fatigue. I just used that word. Visibility fatigue, panic. They had these helicopter lingo words about the panic part. And while we sit back and we wonder what happened in those last moments, everything that I've learned from that documentary says that no one knew what was going to happen. So it was just like the lights turned out. We can feel better about that a little bit, maybe, instead of maybe imagining panic. But everything that they said, everything they kind of investigated, pointed to the fact that there was unless of course if someone was in the cockpit, I don't know how that all works, but it was pretty quick the second that visibility was gone. And we lost what we'll never know. We don't know what else could have been done. I would have never imagined Kobe retiring and winning an Oscar 17 months later. Kobe was an amazing basketball player, but in a billion years I would have never predicted that. I don't know what was next. I don't know what Gigi was going to do, but everything pointed to the fact that we were going to be invested in Kobe and his family for the next however many years. And I don't idolize anyone. I never idolized anyone. I had immense respect, immense fandom to Kobe and the Troy Polamalu's and the Magic Johnsons and all these amazing players. But I never was obsessed or in any way idolizing anyone. That's just not how my brain operated. But what I did admire was the execution of what a lot of these people did. And Kobe was I think, the closest to my personality in terms of the execution. It can be good and bad. The bad being, you might come off aloof, you might come off irritable, you might come off mean, you might come off with no empathy. But there's this weird line between accomplishment, execution, really. And he used to say that all the time, right? Execution, execution. There's a fine line between execution and failure. And a lot of that little part is going somewhere that might affect things around you. Now, you also have to be in control of your vocabulary and your verbiage. You can't be disrespectful in a sense of alienating your family, alienating your friends, to the point where you're just one of those guys that's like rumors of like a Steven Seagal type thing, or Marlon Brando back in the day, where he was just he did what he did at the expense of others. See, that's the difference. Is if you're gonna be a master of anything you do, you cannot do it at the expense of other people's time and their abilities. Then you're a dick. Then you're a piece of shit. But that fine line is, I'm gonna go do what I gotta do. You want to roll through, roll through. If not, then you don't gotta be with me. And let those people around you make that decision. And that was something that, in the end, you've heard me talk about this. In the end, I laugh at people worshiping Kobe. This is before he passed away. Worshiping Kobe after his retirement, telling everybody how great he was. Yet I'm sitting in the back going, wait a minute, weren't you assholes dogging him about taking the last couple of years' money and how he was hard on people and maybe he wasn't really a nice teammate? Like, everybody turns around, just like kind of this Patrick Mahomes thing. All of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes is a pariah because he's winning too much. And everybody's jumping on that board. Everybody's jumping on that bandwagon. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. What happened here? What the hell happened here? Why are you all now not cheering for Patrick Mahomes? What, you don't like his wife? You don't like his brother? You don't like the fact that some teammate of his is going out with a famous singer? Like, at what point does the stupidity start to come into that brain and manifest this? I want to see greatness. Again, there's a limit, and I understand that. You don't treat people like garbage to the point where you're affecting their lives. You don't want to be that guy either. But if you're about being the greatest, being the best, being an icon, things have to be done a certain way. And that goes for all the family members, children, your friends, your colleagues. All that has to be figured out in a way where they're going to have to make a decision on if they want to be around somebody like that. Well, most people didn't want to be around Kobe towards the end of his career, but they sure loved him afterwards because there were no consequences. That's the difference. So Kobe was the type of guy that did what he did and turned into what he did. And he turned into that because of that kind of mindset. And yes, we all wish we could do it like Tim Duncan did. Tim Duncan apparently was a nice guy, right? John Stockton was a nice guy, right? Okay, well, we're all different people. Me, I relate more to kind of how Kobe did stuff. I loved Magic when I was a kid, but I never really related to Magic in terms of his smiling and being. I probably related more. And at the time, I didn't know this. At the time, now I look back, I probably would have been more of a Larry Bird personality. And I just wanted to destroy everything in my way. That's just the brain, how it operated. And that was something that developed over time too. It wasn't when I was a kid. So we always look for the silver lining. There's always a silver lining. Maybe a humbleness that gets created from this, or an appreciation to life. Sure. I heard a lot about that when my parents passed away. I didn't really hear it from anybody because everybody knew, no one ever said anything of that nature. That's just kind of talk that you see around. Hey, you cope with it, use it as something that you can learn from, which is respectable. I understand that. And the silver lining, it's not necessarily that, but I'll just use it as an example. Nothing can affect you at this point. When both your family members that you love to death, literally, it's hard to have anything else be worse. So that might be the only positive that might have come out of that. If the car breaks down, if the house catches on fire, who gives a shit. You can rebuild a house, you can get a new car, you can't get new parents. This is kind of the same way, but it's a little bit more distant because I didn't know Kobe Bryant personally. He wasn't a family member. But I'll tell you what, man, between him and Magic, I felt those guys, when Magic got diagnosed and when Kobe passed away, I felt like a family member died. It's really the only two guys. A little bit of Dale Earnhardt. When he died in 01. I wasn't right for about a week. That was a weird week when he passed away. But yeah, and you saw. I saw Shaq cry twice. He might have cried before, but I have seen Shaq cry twice in my life, and I've known of Shaq for 30 plus years now, and both times involved Kobe Bryant. One was when Kobe jumped into his arms, tears were coming down after he, put him down. And then the other was when he was sitting with the TNT crew talking about Kobe with Jerry West and Ernie and Kenny and Charles. And then you saw, you see Tim Duncan doing this. My God, how much crying was that guy doing where he had to rub his eyes with the palm of his hands? So you tell me what kind of impact that guy made. Jimmy Kimmel's on air, drenched. Fallon couldn't even talk. He told an amazing story about that liquor thing where Kobe's rookie year, he's at a party. Jimmy Fallon, I guess, had just gotten on SNL and they're hanging out. He didn't know who Kobe was. Kobe's like, I'm a Laker. They go to, somebody's asking for drinks, beer, whatever it was. Him and Kobe go on a beer run. They go to a place that's a wholesale place. It's not a beer place. It's not a retail place. And they knock, or Fallon knocks, hey, can we get some beer? It's like, hey, you can't buy beer. We don't sell beer here. And then I guess Kobe had a Laker card. He goes, I'm a Laker. And of course, you know what happened next. I mean, that story is so cool because I could see it. You could see it, how it happened. And then you start thinking about the one that really hurts. You feel, I'm a family man. Anytime a father dies, a mother dies, a child dies, the first thing I think of is the family. Daughters just lost their father. A wife just lost her husband. The kid thing is really the first thing that I think about. But then it reversed to the fact that a mother just lost her daughter. And everyone in my circles knows if anything happens to my kids, I'm finished. There's nothing that I can do. It used to be an idle threat to my oldest, which is fun and games, really. Wasn't serious. But I said, please make good decisions because if something happens to you, know that your dad's gone if anything happens to you. So, which is true. It is. I wouldn't make it. And that's just, I guess, how my wiring works. This was not a good thing. There's never, ever going to be anything good that came out of this. I don't care how many foundations it started. I don't care how much money went to families and this and that. Losing Kobe, losing people who were in that thing for what, an hour, barely an hour, just to get to a kid's basketball game. That is as tragic a scenario as you can get. You had another family member who lost their parents and their sibling. You had someone that lost a parent and a sibling. That is devastating.
Both parents and a sibling.
Both parents and a sibling. They lost their family. I'm sure they had other siblings, but you lost your parents and another. It can't get any more tragic. It really
You
can't.
think this day sucks for Kobe fans around the world? Just try that person who lost their entire family, just like that.
And my
And it's
friend,
5 years later, and they have to live through it today. They have to live through it today.
Yes. And they probably have to live through it every time they see Kobe on TV. It reminds them, right?
Yeah.
But there was something my friend Jimmy said once, or a little bit after, not too long after it happened. And I thought it was the only thing that really kind of maybe soothed me just a tiny bit, because it made so much sense. And I was like, my God, I didn't even think about that. That was brilliant. It was Natalia, the oldest, and it was Gigi for the longest time. When Kobe retired, or at least when he was about to retire, I think his third child was coming, and then they had a fourth. He said something, and it made so much sense. He goes, Joe, man, you know what's weird? He goes, thank God. And he's a religious person, very devout Christian. He goes, I was thinking about this. He goes, man, thank God they had two more girls. He goes, because think about it. Think about the mental part of this. He goes, Natalia was going to go to college. And Gigi passed away. Imagine if she didn't have the other two girls to raise, to keep her mind away from it. She would have been alone. So it's like, man, I never thought of that. In a million years, I wouldn't have thought of it that way. But man, that is big. It would have been worse. It would have been worse. What would she have done? And it's just not. We're selfish in that we're wanting Kobe to be alive because we want to think of him in the basketball sense. We want to see him on the Hall of Fame, but peel that crap away. We didn't know him. He wasn't our close friend. He didn't know us. It's more of the people around him that really, really lost. But then again, the world lost too. I mean, who knows what was in store? We don't know. We just won't know. And for me, looking at it from the outside, that's a really big part of this. And things went to crap after that too. I mean, everything just started falling apart. It's like, and I want somebody to explain this to me. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe my focus wasn't on it. But Gerald, answer me this question. I've been around for Whitney's death. I've been around for Michael Jackson's death. I've been around for Prince's death. And Michael Jackson was huge. Huge. I didn't feel that death in any way was close to Kobe's. All of them combined. Kobe
There
stopped
were
Earth.
memorials around the world. There were memorials around the world when Michael Jackson passed away. Whitney and Prince, it was selected areas, obviously in Minneapolis and Minnesota, where Prince was just so much ingrained into the culture there. But on a worldwide basis, I think Michael is the only one I could compare it to within this century. I'll just leave it at that.
Did it? I remember it was 2009. I remember TMZ made the announcement. I was on watching TV and all that, but I did not see the dread from everyone's face like I did for Kobe. Kobe died. I really felt like it was very JFK. It was very JFK like.
Yeah, this was very unexpected, Joe. That's probably part of the reason why. In Michael's case, he was doing a lot of things, with the people in his life, the things that were being done, self-destructiveness. That was a pattern going. Plus, already the stuff with the Neverland Ranch and all that stuff. That had already started to establish itself. So Michael was not the most beloved figure at the time of his passing. Since then, I believe he's been remembered a little bit more fondly, but this is not, had it happened in the 90s, early 90s, I think Michael's probably would have been much to a much grander scale as far as that's concerned, or maybe even in the 80s at the height of his success. In the case of Kobe, it was just totally unexpected. It's like, where were you when you found out that Kobe had passed away, and Gigi and the rest of those individuals killed in that tragic helicopter accident? Where you were when that happened. I don't remember where I was when I was told what happened with Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston or Prince. I don't have a recollection of, I'm assuming I saw it in the news, but I know where I was at when Kobe Bryant died, because that's how sudden it was, and that's how much it affected us. Because again, Kobe was building a life after basketball. He had built a company that was basing itself in entertainment. He had won an Oscar posthumously several months later after his passing. He was creating books. That's the thing. Again, if you do want to check out the docuseries, one of the trailers leading up to it, they're talking about, there's going to be several interviews about how he was developing the Wizard Art series that he created. As far as, I believe, 2 books, and there was working on a third to see where that was going as a possible successor in the Harry Potter saga, as far as a competitor or something that could establish a world like Harry Potter. So that was something that they talked about in this or that they will talk about in this docuseries, because it's still ongoing. So yeah, it's something, again, all these attributes and all these things that he was creating for himself, obviously helping out Gigi and developing her career as an athlete. That was also something that was very prominent in his life. Those were things that were, you could see Kobe, he was still going to be in the public forum. He was still going to be in the spotlight. And you could see the kind of success he was still yet to achieve when it all was snuffed out in one terrible, dark moment 5 years ago.
I know the Kobe stories. I know the documentary will. I don't know I'm going to watch it and I'll see what's going on with that. But nothing good came out of it. Nothing but just dread. Nothing. Just a terrible day. Terrible foreverness.
Yeah.
The forever stuff is the only thing we can't control. There's things that get out of our control, but there's a way to get it under control in some way. Again, like if your car gets smashed, your house burns down, all these things can be redone. Hard or not, easy or not, those things are not important in the grand scheme of things. You cannot get Kobe Bryant back. Gigi won't come back. The family won't get back. Those are the things that are the hardest. That's equally sometimes a tragic thing and a beautiful thing, because it makes life so precious and so important. And you sit in that area for a while immediately when it happens, or when you reminisce, but then you quickly get out of it. You start getting back to the normal stuff. Oh, I got to get up in the morning and stress about some stupid coffee maker in the morning, or the car tire is low and I have a screw in it. Like, it's very hard to keep yourself in perspective 24/7.
Just wanted to let Zach know, yeah, it's on CNN. The first episode aired yesterday. My guess, and I'm going to go ahead and look this up right now. Since they're obviously aligned, they may actually show it on Max, because CNN does not have its own service at this point in time, although I believe rumors has they're going to try and do another thing again. Yeah, I think it's going to be on Max, or if it isn't on Max already, going to go ahead and check. I'm still not seeing a confirmation on that, but yeah, absolutely. It's right now available on CNN. The first episode aired yesterday, and it's going to be on a weekly basis. So please, yeah, give a chance. Check it out if you get a chance, and hopefully check on it. But my guess is it probably will drop on Max at some point in time, because it's part of the Turner Empire. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and check it out, though, right now, it is on CNN. And the first episode dropped yesterday. I'm assuming that you could still probably go ahead and TiVo it Or if you have YouTube TV, you could go ahead and add it to your library, and they'll add the first one in there for you. That's my guess. So don't hold me to that, but just letting you know. I saw the first few minutes of the first episode. I'm gonna catch the rest of it later today. And again, it's something worth watching from what I've seen so far. So I hope you guys get a chance to do that and remember Kobe and Gigi fondly. 5 years later, after the passing, in a terrible, terrible, terrible helicopter crash that happened 5 years ago. And again, I don't know what these other shows are doing, and I don't honestly care. I never really cared what all these other shows are doing, but I know all these other Lakers shows should be honoring Kobe and Gigi tonight. We do. We go out of our way to. We honor them on the 81. We honor them at other points in time of the year. We talk about them constantly on the show. I don't know what those other channels do. Again, that's their agenda, but at least one day of the year, they should always remember Kobe. It should be this one where Kobe and Gigi should be remembered. If you call yourself a Lakers show, you will do that. And I will leave it at that.
There's a term there's a term I grew up with from all the movies I watched. Mm-hmm. What's done is done.
Well, I know it's not a comfortable subject, Joe, but it has to be talked about. It cannot be swept under the rug. And the memory and the good things that they gave us in this world have to be remembered, in my opinion. Otherwise, it just fades away. And I never want Kobe and Gigi, the accomplishments, especially Kobe, made throughout his life, to be forgotten about through the sands of time. And we'll just go ahead.
There is a different click in the head when nature does its thing. Bob Hope dying at 100. George Burns dying at 100. I remember growing up watching George Burns movies towards the end. Bob Hope, Sinatra,
Bing Crosby.
I mean, Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. passed away younger. At the time, I was young. I didn't really understand it too much, but it was weird to know that someone of his caliber passed away. At least with the Sinatras and the famous comedians and the actors, they lived a life. Brando even lived to 80. But I don't know. I feel like, and I know it's been like this, Jimi Hendrix passed away. Joan Morrison passed away. Janis Joplin. Obviously, John Lennon got shot. And there's always been that young, they died too young type thing going on in every culture. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and I'm starting to see people pass away around me too. I think maybe it's hitting me a little more. And I'm not even talking about like the last few years. I'm talking about like the last couple months. The threat of mortality I feel like is always around me. It's just hovering around me. Not so much me, not so much anyone in my immediate family, but life is starting to tickle those certain people, I should say. And it's tickling enough and affecting things. Pressures of life, pressures of getting older, bad diet, bad decision making on what they're putting in their bodies. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's not just now, guys. And I'm sure that there was a lot of this kind of stuff going on at the beginning of the 20th century, during the World War I's and the Twos and the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Human beings are a weird species. They have the brains to do things correctly, but they seem to not always do that, and we're left with having issues with others because some look at life differently, and a lot of times if they're in a position of decision making, it could affect you. Kobe's lasting. I'm sorry. I'll let it at it. I know my pauses sometimes throw you off. I'm going to try to work on
They always throw
that.
me off.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna work on that, by the way, because I actually have been thinking about that. The Kobe, the end game with Kobe is, and maybe the tragedy for me personally is that that's one less guy that I can relate to, because I feel like as I'm getting older, and I know this is probably normal, I'm just not I'm not used to not being that way or having people around me like that, whether I know them or not. There's very few people left because now I'm the old guy. I'm the one that's going to be 50 in 3 years. I'm the old guy now, but I feel like I'm on an island sometimes. I'm the only one that has the mentality that I have. Everyone else is either given up on being who they want to be or softened up. I don't know. Life is sometimes kind of weird like that. I don't it's not a midlife crisis. I don't believe in that, at least for me. It's just a realization of what's not there anymore and how I'm going to adapt to it. But then again, it's more of who's going to adapt to me. Can they? Well, apparently my family did or does. I have several friends that have. So maybe that's all I need to go the rest of the way. That's a good thing. But with Kobe, uh, I was really interested in seeing what he was going to do next, and I was really excited about Gigi doing what she was about to do next. And I'm just sad that we'll never see it.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It's Lakers Weekend, everyone. It's Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. I truly appreciate you doing so as we remembered Kobe and Gigi 5 years after their tragic death. If you have anything you want to say in the comments or afterwards, if you're watching this after we air, please do so. We'll try to get back to you as soon as we can with your thoughts. Plus, also as well, you can also hit us up, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Xbox says, I get so upset thinking about what Powell and Kobe would have done. Now, Powell is not really in the media much lately as he's looking after Vanessa. Such a shame when they were the best of friends, and that they were. And I know Powell to this day still is very emotional about that. And it's been pretty good having him, making sure that Vanessa and the kids are doing the best they can in these tragic times.
If there was ever a moment that proved that Kobe was not a selfish person, all you had to do was watch the acceptance of the 2010 NBA Finals MVP. The first thing he said was thanking Pau Gasol and how they wouldn't be there without him. That shows a lot, and it shows why they were tight, because Pau, from everything I've seen, and I'm so happy. I have been happy about Pau Gasol since what will be in about 5 days the anniversary of, in my view, the greatest Laker trade of all time. That changed history. It changed an era. It changed a legacy. As there were greater players that were traded to LA, Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but I don't believe there was ever a NBA shifting trade like that trade for the Lakers. And he's never let, even in the good, even in the few bads that we witnessed, it was never that bad for me. I absolutely had so much love and respect for Pau Gasol, have it even more now. And that is a good man. I would be in shock if he wasn't a good man behind the scenes. I would be in shock, like I'd be in shock with Kobe in 04 and what happened there, or 03. I'm happy at the very least that's still there. The connection is still there with Vanessa and the family. And Pau Gasol, I tip my hat off to you, man. I think that man is just unbelievable. I think he's a great man, great person, through and through, 100%.
So with that, we turn our attention to what's going on with the Lakers. And yes, we'll talk a little NFL before we head it out. But is the Lakers heading into Charlotte tomorrow? Game is at 4 p.m. So early one for you guys out there. Know you're going to be catching it on the way home from work. You can go ahead and do so on our awesome playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break channel. And then, of course, it'll be available on the simulcast. I'm hoping everything will work right on YouTube and Facebook as well. Tufso says, so Jerry West brought both Gasol and Kobe to the Lakers, correct?
No, Pau Gasol was brought in by Mitch Kupchak, although there's been some talk that there was some finagling maybe of I don't was Jerry West still the advisor there?
He was in I think he was in Memphis by that time.
I thought he had left already.
Let me see it. I'll check you the dates on that. So I don't want to say for sure, but I'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, he was, because remember he was in Memphis as a advisor at that. So I go take that as an executive. He was in 2008, correct? Was it 2008? The trade was made. 2008. You know what? Actually, he had left.
Yeah,
Memphis.
I remember he had left. He may have had a outside verbal influence for all we know, but I'm going to give Mitch Kupchak that credit. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give that one to Jerry.
He may have. I don't think he was on the. He was advising for the Clippers as of yet. So
correct.
Yeah,
he went to Golden State after that, and then he went to the Clippers. The trade was at the time was because they needed, and we'll go into this in 5 days in more detail. But the trade went through because Memphis wanted that expiring contract of Kawhi Brown, and I believe that they wanted to help Pau go to a good place too. There was a lot of talk at that time that he was going to go to Chicago, which wouldn't have been a bad place to go. Derrick Rose was on the.
He was officially out of basketball at that point in time. He didn't start with the Golden State Warriors until 2011. Joe.
Yeah. It would have been a good place for him to go to Chicago to play with Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose got drafted, would have been drafted that next summer. But but no one knew that, right? At the time. But I believe that Memphis traded Pau to the Lakers. They got what they needed business wise, and I believe they wanted to do Pau a service for what he did. I think that's how it probably went out, and it was. Man, Kobe scored 6 points in that Nets jersey game when he first played, and Pau Gasol looked like he had been playing for the Lakers for years. I can't tell you how happy I was. It's impossible to say it. You would have had to have been with me that day in the truck driving to LA, getting text messages on my Razor phone. It was unbelievable, the feeling. Anyone who knew basketball knew that was a shifting of the powers move. And we'll talk more about that on February 1st, because I do love talking about that. I'll talk about it every year, February 1. That, to me, is just as big as the 81-point game, if not bigger.
So the Lakers head tomorrow into Charlotte. And you know what, Joe, I still am at a loss how stupid, speaking of bad GMs, are, as far as in the chat they're talking about Rob. I still am at a loss how Charlotte traded away Nick Richards for just some throwaway second round draft picks. It just blows me away how poorly they evaluate their own talent. Because look at him, he just got 20. He almost got 20 and 20 the other day for Phoenix. So shows you how bad they could do it. I had asked for in the beginning of the season. I know Alan was just like calling me crazy and telling me, a whole bunch of things. Alan Gervais in our chat about when I said Nick Richards and LaMelo Ball, and I think they were gettable at that point in time. And now realizing what they gave up they asked for a trade from Phoenix. They could have been more gettable at that point in time. So the Lakers head in there with a team that's obviously on the tank. Um, I think at least one. I think Miller's out for the rest of the season, or he's out
Yeah.
for an extended period of
He's
time.
out for the season.
Yeah, so they obviously are now in full tank mode. LaMelo's going to take 100 shots if he's in the game, if he plays. But yeah, the Lakers have to continue this momentum because they have to try to finish them off early because they've got a back-to-back in Philly the next night.
There's no other way to look at it other than they're trying to take. What else would it be? Although, and I'm hearing a lot of good things about Flag. Flag is really lighting it up. Maybe he might be that guy. Maybe he might be the guy, but how can you? I don't know what that fan base does over there. We've talked about this. I don't know what the point of having an NBA. San Diego has lost 2 NBA franchises. What's the difference between San Diego and Charlotte or New Orleans? Wouldn't it be easier to have a team in San Diego?
Yeah, but they lost the Clippers the first time around.
They lost the Rockets the first time.
Yeah, but they also lost the Clippers.
Yeah, well, that
the Chargers.
That had more to do with the fact that Donald Sterling wanted the LA lifestyle. That's why he moved them out of San Diego. I don't understand why Charlotte has a team. I really don't. I still don't. I can't figure out why they thought it was a good idea to put another team there and call them the Bobcats. Oh wait, Robert Johnson bought it, and they wanted maybe they wanted a chance to have someone that's not an old decrepit owner that's owning the team, right? Somebody maybe with a little bit more flash, a little bit more to date. But Charlotte needs to make a decision here, especially with expansion being discussed. They need to move that team out of there. They need to either take them to Vegas or take them to Seattle and then put back the Sonics as that team. I don't think there should be a basketball team in New Orleans or in Charlotte in my book. I think those 2 markets are just not going to work. They've had enough chances in my book for them to prove it, and I don't believe the NBA needs 2 more teams. I think 2 more teams they already have too many teams. I think the NBA was better when it had 26, but that's a different topic. Nick Richards, I think the frustration with that, I think has a lot to do, especially with that stat line that he had, was the fact that would have been the perfect guy to come to LA.
Yeah.
For a couple of second round picks.
That's why. Yeah, why would you trade a guy who's only $5 million? It's the position that you're best at on your team, because Mark Williams is actually a center that's really started to play well once he came back from injury. It's the team that you have the most depth in. You've got a very inexpensive backup that is very productive, and the best you trade him for is a couple second round draft picks. It's just absolutely moronic that they did that. And again, if I knew that was the going rate for him, I would have absolutely said the Lakers go ahead and try and get him and Ball in a trade and get those first, because I know that Alan sent me an email the other night in regards to this and asked my thoughts on it, and I had to shut him down and basically say, you know what, because he tried to justify for all these different reasons why the Lakers should do this or that, and the Kessler trade and all that. And I said, these guys are just rotational players. These guys will make an impact, but the impact is minimal. We need a third player that can get points and buckets when LeBron and AD are not. And as we see last night, Joe, nobody really needed to help them score a whole lot last night because LeBron and AD dominated last night. But what if you have LeBron or AD not dominate? Is Austin going to be that guy that's going to pick up the slack? I don't think he can do it on an everyday basis. So you bring in a Ball, you bring in a Richards to help out your rebounding. That would have been a great trade. But again, Richards is gone. He's now on Phoenix. So you do what you need to do now. But yeah, this is a team that you should dust off early And by 5 o'clock our time tomorrow on the West Coast, they should be in front by 25, sitting LeBron and AD down because Philadelphia will be waiting the next day.
The Philly game is going to be the one that I'm going to probably be more invested in a little bit, see what happens there, because they haven't been playing well in Philly for a while. And you know that these guys all end up showing up to play when the Lakers come to town. That one might be a touchy one. You'll be able to kind of find out who they are a little bit against Philly, especially if Embiid's at full tilt and Paul George is at full tilt as well. 4-2 road trip.
I don't know if Embiid will be there because Embiid's not been in there every game.
And that'll help.
So.
That'll help. Yeah, that'll help. But you never know. You never know. I'm happy at the last three games. It's different. Last three games were different. There was a little bit of an attitude. There was a little bit of what I used to feel when you start playing a game 5 minutes in. You're like, oh no, I think they got this tonight. Even if they're playing even, you could just see it. The tempo, the what's going on with certain plays, how they develop, how they're shooting. Right out the gate against Golden State, they were making shots just like they did in Boston. I'm like, that's how you create momentum. Now, you're not going to get that every time. Just like right that time when in the third quarter when Boston kind of was trying to go on a run, they made a mistake. Boston did, and then the Lakers made them pay for it. That's how you're supposed to do it. You cannot. It's very rare to run from 0 to 0. You have to be ready for the run or runs, and they've been really good at doing that. Golden State tried to make a run pretty much the entire first half, couldn't. I thought the Lakers were eventually going to do it a little earlier, maybe in the second half. They didn't, but they ended up doing it later. It was kind of there. It was just lingering. It happens the opposite way too. You'll watch the Lakers play a certain way. You'll see their opponent play a certain way. You're like, oh man, they're just a couple threes away from just breaking this out on the Lakers. The Lakers don't get a lead. There are times when the Lakers are touching things, and I'm like, a 4 to 6 point lead is not enough. These guys are going to hit 2 threes, and all of a sudden you're in trouble because then they're going to go on a run, and that happens. Well, the Lakers are in that position right now a little bit, and I'd like to really see them. I really want them to take this road trip very, very seriously. Get out of being under 500 on the road, which it would be if they can win. I think. Let me see here. They'd have to go 5-1 to get over 500 on the road.
Right now, again, that was something we talked about heading into this road trip, Joe. The Lakers, in the atmosphere of the top teams in the Western Conference, they had the worst road record. But again, starting off the road trip on a good note with that victory in Golden State. Again, hopefully they will follow it up with a strong win in Charlotte. And the back-to-back is what I worry about. Again, I don't know if Embiid will be available. He's not been available for many of the games lately. I did remark last week that he was petrified. Always that deal where he always seems to get sick right around the time that Philadelphia or ill or injured or not feeling well enough to play in Denver against Jokic. It always has to be Jokic playing him in Philadelphia for some reason. So we'll leave it at that. But again, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching. We'll have the game as far as on the simulcast, as far as at least the scoreboard up there for you on YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, playback.tv's House Lakers Fast Break. Looking forward to, hopefully we'll be in Xbox. Will be a good win on Monday as we get continued on the road trip. But Joe, before we head on out, just wanted to go ahead and make sure everyone knows that the Super Bowl has been decided. If you don't know already, big championship games happened on Sunday. Got a chance to check both out extensively. I know our own Henry Hill is flying home as we speak, very dejected as a Commanders fan. But they have no one to blame but themselves as far as it's concerned. 21 points off of 3 turnovers. That's the difference. And that cost him their chance at the Super Bowl, Joe.
Felt bad for Jaden Daniels. He was playing really well. It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate that it went the way it went. I still think Philly would have won, even if they were neck and neck. I think they had a better team, but
Mm-hmm.
they were able to blow it up because of those 3 turnovers. And as far as the Chiefs are concerned, Josh Allen on his last drive, that was a moment that he probably should have executed on. That was it. It's 3 minutes left. I know you're in Kansas City, but you gotta get to that. You have to score a touchdown there, and then you got to make sure there's not hardly any time on the clock.
Yeah.
And that's the stress that Patrick Mahomes puts on people. It doesn't matter if it's an ugly game. It doesn't matter if it's a high scoring game. It doesn't matter if he stinks. He always comes through when it matters. And if you want to say that he gets assistance from the refs, folks, get on board already. The NFL protects the star quarterbacks. If you don't like it, stop watching it. And if NFL players don't like it, maybe you should have said some things during the CBA discussions. However, one thing that I do like about Philly is they have a star running back who could be the MVP, who actually probably should be the MVP. I had picked Lamar Jackson at the end of the regular season, but then I started thinking about it. I go, yeah, most valuable player. If they didn't have Lamar Jackson, Baltimore probably wouldn't be where they are. That makes sense. And then you see somebody like Josh Allen. If he wasn't on the Bills, they wouldn't be where they are. You see Patrick Mahomes, they wouldn't be where they are without him. But where would Philly be without Saquon Barkley this year? I know Jalen Hurts is good, but Saquon, after what happened to Philly last year, don't you think that maybe he was the difference? He had a great individual season and continued it through the playoffs and is now in the Super Bowl. Does Philly take this? See, the thing is, Philly 2 years ago controlled the clock pretty much the entire game, and it still didn't matter. And Saquon's breakaway ability, that's the difference maker because he's scoring touchdowns on a lot of those runs. Does Philly control the clock again this time? But this time Saquon closes it. That's going to be the story for me on this game. Will it matter though? Because Mahomes always seems to adjust to anything. And until he loses, I'm not going to go against him. And I'm going to be honest, I'm looking forward to possibly seeing a three-peat here. This is something we might not ever see ever in our lives. So I like to see greatness. Actually, this isn't even greatness. This is iconic. A team winning 3 in a row, 3 Super Bowls in a row. The only team that's won 3 championships in a row in the modern era are the Packers. The Packers won the NFL championship the year before Super Bowl I, and then they won Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II. They three-peated. But it was kind of weird how it happened. They were NFL champions 3 years in a row. And then that 1 and 2 championship in the Super Bowl was kind of separate because the leagues were separate. So this is really the first three-peat in a Super Bowl era that could happen.
So what I'm going to do is probably have something either on Monday or Wednesday of next week. Natalia was asking in the chat. I'm going to make it available first for our members at Lakers Fast Break, but I will make it available afterwards for the entire public at some point in time later in the week, next week. It's going to have Chris Lardieri. I'm hoping Joe Soro and Sean Grice as well. We go heavy in detail on the game itself, some of the more interesting aspects on both KC and also Philadelphia, and we'll go into some of the props as well, because some of the props will be already laid out. The odds will be there. Interesting things on that if you have any thoughts on that. Plus, we'll also talk about a little bit about our fantasy football goals and maybe some advice to think about in the off season as well. So that will be first airing as a members exclusive first on the Lakers Fast Break channel, and then will be shown on the Lakers Fast Break channel at some point in time during later that week. I'll make it available to all of our viewers later in the week, and then also as well, it'll be available also on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel as well. So I want to thank everybody for going ahead in advance watching that. This is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Joe, a great weekend of football, but a day that no Lakers fan should forget, as Kobe and Gigi Bryant needed to be remembered. I do not going to need a 2-hour show today because, again, we've got a busy week ahead with the Lakers and some early games here this week. But any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Yeah, it's, this has been the slowest month I can remember in a while. I feel like January's been 3 months. I'm excited for a lot of things right now. February is going to be an amazing month, and then March and April will be possibly good months, both from our sports ventures to personal stuff as well. I'm going to be watching the Super Bowl in a few weeks here, and then a week later or so, I'll be in Arizona, Camelback, watching my Dodgers start their run for the repeat. So I got some skin in the game in the repeat game here with my Dodgers, and Dodgers have never repeated in their history. They've been around since 1883. And
I know.
And much. Sorry, go ahead. So again, I keep.
I was going to say, Zach, Joe's going to create a channel. It's going to be the Dodgers Fast Pitch, where, because I know that a lot of our Lakers fans don't like Joe and I when we talk at length about Dodgers, or sometime actually the other day, though, it blew up when you did the Tanner Scott video with Empire Jeff here. But most likely, again, he's going to open up his own channel, Dodgers Fast Pitch, and we'll be glad to go ahead and let you guys know when that happens and share that. So yes, Zach, you can hop on anytime. I'm sure if you ask Joe in advance, it'll be his channel. He runs it. So, but I know he likes having you aboard here for our Lakers conversations. And I know he would always take a guest or two every now and then for the Dodgers as well.
It's interesting, the parallels of the Kansas City hate that's started the last year or so, and then there's a lot of hate towards the Dodgers for being excellent. It wasn't even 4 months ago where the Dodgers were apparently the laughing stock of baseball for only winning a quote-unquote Mickey Mouse championship in 2020. Little did they remember, because they're so stupid, that they played all those games in Texas. This wasn't the NBA bubble. This was in Texas. Texas is as Disney as I am to a nightclub in LA on Sunset. It's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. And it just makes you realize how two-faced and scummy people can be. You criticize for not winning. Then when you win, it's cheating in a economical way now, without knowing information, without understanding that most of the acquisitions this year have been less than what the opposing negotiators have been offering. Players, more than 1, 2, 3, 4, came to the Dodgers with lesser offers from the Dodgers than the teams that were negotiating against the Dodgers. So how does that work? Is it really about the money? No, of course not. Not in those cases. And there's proof. Teoscar Hernandez being an example, he had apparently $6 to $7 million more offered to him by the Boston Red Sox. Why didn't he go there? It was all about the money. No, he wanted to stay in LA. Why? Because of the culture. Because the ownership and the people who run this organization are grade A Class 1 operators who care about their fans and care about their players, and people want to be around that environment. Why would you want to go away from what could be culture defying? Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Is that extra $5 million when you're already making $70 million going to really matter? I'd rather be part of a three-peat. I'd rather be part of a repeat. I'd rather be part of a 10-year run that this team is going to be on. And the parallels are hilarious. As soon as you start winning, all of a sudden the jealousy starts coming up. And now the venom is going to be much, much more poisonous. So in a lot of ways, it's fun because now we can really, really, really talk. So I'm excited about February and March and getting ready for this run here of excellence. The Lakers, I can't go anywhere yet there. I have to wait for this to kind of materialize. February 6th is a big day for us. We're going to probably be on air for a long time during that time. I'm looking forward to it. Usually that day is pretty fun. And we'll enjoy it as much as we can. And then football, I got issues. I'm going to have to wait probably 3 more years before the Steelers have any chance at doing what these guys are doing right now.
So with that, though, I want to say thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day to stop on by to remember Kobe and Gigi and just hear us talk about our memories and our thoughts on the great Kobe Bryant. Again, if you want, it's available. The docuseries just started the first episode on CNN. So hopefully your TiVo will actually pick up that first episode, and it's a weekly basis. So go ahead and check it out. I have not gotten a confirmation it's on Max, but again, since they're on the same Turner wavelength, there is still that possibility that could happen. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. And again, it goes heavy into detail on a lot of good and sometimes uncomfortable subjects about Kobe. But if you want to know more about the man, these are a good way to go ahead and check that out and see what his life was all about. Especially for those now, Joe, that live in a different generation that never got a chance to really understand just how great Kobe is. You and I take it for granted, about Kobe Bryant, but some of his best years, that 2000 to 2010 time period when he was at, many people will say his peak, or, just a great part of it, I shall say. They didn't get a chance to see it because it's now 15 years in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and thank you, Aaron, for bringing one of my, if not the favorite quote that I've ever heard Kobe say. I remember this vividly. I think it was after Game 1 of the Spurs series. I think it was after that one, and Kobe was like, "You got to come through us, dude. Doesn't matter how motivated you are. You have to bust. You're gonna have to bust us." And Shaq and Kobe in 2001 were that was Captain America and the Hulk at in astronomical prime, not even prime. I'm talking godly prime. My God, I'm just happy I saw that in my life. I've been very fortunate. I'll put a button on this, Gerald. I've been very fortunate. I got lucky, man, when it came to my fandom. My dad picked the Steelers because he came to America in the 70s, didn't know anything about football, American football, and that was what was going on at the time. The Steelers were the dynasty of the 70s. He got into it at that time, and that's why he chose them. And then the short amount of time he lived in Fullerton, when he had migrated from the suburbs of Detroit to California, that's when he started seeing the Lakers and the Dodgers. And what can I say? I've seen 6 NBA championships as a grown adult. I've seen 3 World Series as a grown adult and as an adolescent, coming into my own and remembering it at 10 years old, the 88 World Series. And I've seen 2 Super Bowl wins. I guess I'm spoiled. I've had I've had 11 championships that I've watched from my teams, so I can live the rest of my life and be okay. And I'm so happy too with that. The Steeler one is the biggest one, really. I look back at the Big Ben, Troy Polamalu's, and the James Harrison era of football. That was the 2000s was the last true football decade in my book. It was the last of the real football that was being played. Now, a little too flamboyant, a little too geared towards TV to the point where it doesn't. It's just not. You don't get a chance to see football really like it used to. Like it was the change that happened. It's not something that wasn't going to be probably inevitable. But that was to me the last decade of great football, old football with the new football, and then the new football kind of took over after 2010, and yeah. So, but I'm looking forward to the next 9 years during the Otani dynasty, the Shohei dynasty. Do they end up winning 2? Do they end up winning 3? Do they end up winning 5? At this point, we're never going to catch the Yankees. Definitely not in our lifetime. But in the NL, the St. Louis Cardinals have 11, and the Dodgers have 8. I think the Dodgers have a very good chance in the next 9 years to possibly get to 12. So let's see what they can do.
And I know that I'm very hard on AD for taking threes because he's a career 29% 3-point shooter, and right now it's at 30.4, Joe. So that message to Laker Tom is almost ready to send, but I'm not gonna send it yet until he falls under 30. But the one time I was very happy he shot a 3, and we all know it's against Denver in the bubble, as far as in the playoffs. And what did he shout right when he made it? It was Kobe.
Yeah, it was.
Still gets me, man. Still gets me right here in the fields, man. Still gets me.
Yeah, that was a man. I did not see that happening. I really didn't. I did
And it
not.
was right there instantly.
He hit.
Didn't hesitate.
He hit
It was right there.
just. It was perfect. Perfect pass. Perfect screen around. Perfect run around. Perfect snapping of the wrist. Yeah, man. It was. We have seen a lot of great games, man. We have seen a lot of great games. The Lakers, we're hard on the Lakers. We're hard on Jeannie and Rob because we're upset that they're taking away those moments a little bit. They're not enhancing it. But then again, we're ungrateful fans. What are we going to do? We want to win. And that's the part, to put this back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. That's the alienation. We are, when we want to be great, sometimes the harshness is going to show itself, and it comes off as personal, and you have every right to look at it as personal. Some of it is created from the personal, because there's things that people do outside the actual game that really bother you. Like, is this who I want to support? Is this who I want to cheer for? You know, we're all kind of weird like that. At least I'm weird like that. But if we're wrong in the end here, boy, will it be great. I mean, I would be celebrating, and I'll eat those olives if I have to down the road.
Yeah.
6-0 road trip.
We'll do it today. So,
6-0 road trip. If they go 6-0 on the road trip, I will reinstitute the olive challenge.
As will I. What will they do? I'll be with you on that. I told you, if you go as my friend, I know I heard you call me colleague, so I know but as my friend, I will eat the.
Well, you're more than a colleague. I meant on the show, you're a colleague, and then we were friends.
I know what you were going, and I know what the joke was. No worries, no worries. I'm just trying to rub that in. But we should do something crazy. We'll think about it if they win a championship this season.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I think that would be. I would be the. Yeah, it would. If they. Oh man, if they won a championship and throughout all this, Mike, I maybe we should not talk about the Lakers anymore. Maybe we don't know enough. Maybe we're not good at what we do anymore.
Well, again, we want to be proven wrong. That's our goal. Because if we say the Lakers are not going to reach that status and they reach that status, I would rather be wrong and have them win a title, Joe. But again, we're not going to be dishonest with you guys and tell you things that, let's say, you want to hear. We want to tell you things that you need to hear. And we give you guys sometimes a reality check because you know how you guys get after a good win. Yeah, you know how everybody just, oh, the Lakers are going to do this now. The Lakers are going to do this. And then they let you down the next week. Oh, get rid of this player, get rid of that player, get rid of this player, get rid of. We hear it and see it 365 days a year. I see it in the comments each and every week. Joe and I take flack for it every single week. I mean, Darren, the other day, he was just teeing off on us and saying some pretty mean and nasty stuff in the comments as far as after one of the shows, and I was just like, man, do you just say this to the regular people in your life, or do you just say this to us because we share our opinion? We take time out of our day to this, and just I'll tell you what though, there are times that we enjoy it, and if the Lakers win 6-0 and we have to choke on those terrible tasting olives, it will be fun for you and enjoyable for us, at least outside of the eating is concerned. But we'll be happy for you guys because the Lakers will have come back home 6-0.
Well, I had mentioned in the last show, professional gamblers don't always win. They don't win every single bet. And it's the same situation here. We're not going to be right all the time, but we're more right than wrong.
Yes.
And it's not coming from a clickbaity type atmosphere either. It looks like it looks like we're wrong on the Max Christie thing a little bit right now. Would you say that?
I said he was a rotation player. I still think that ultimately that's where he's going to end up, as a rotation player in the league. I've said that from day one. You guys have, I think he'll probably be that one of those players that will be a seventh, eighth guy. Because right now, as a starter, you're getting very mixed results. As a shooting guard, Joe, averaging 10 to 12 points a game. He's playing okay defense at times, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. He gets bullied. He still has an issue with strength, but right now he's playing about the best he can, which is what the Lakers need. But yeah, is he a long-term star? That remains to be seen. Is he a long-term starter solution, Joe? That remains to be seen. I mean, what you usually, and I point out as far as shooting guards are concerned, what does a shooting guard in your mind usually, what do you expect them to do on any given NBA team, including the Lakers? Do you expect like a 20 to 25 points from a game from our shooting guard position? Do you expect them to go ahead and be able to play defensively, on a regular basis? I mean, again, I just see him developing as someone who will probably be a like Reeves. We often say Reeves should be, or probably would excel and continue to excel as a guy that would be a sixth man on a championship team. What you're asking him to do now sometimes overwhelms him, and that's been clear in the past 3 weeks that we've seen this since D'Lo has been traded. But yeah, I mean, D'Lo not D'Lo, Reeves and Max Christie do not scare other teams and other opponents in the playoffs. As starters, I should say. Would you say that that's correct? Or, when you go in and you map out for what the Lakers are doing, and as we lost Joe, okay. But he is hopefully going to come back. It is, of course, Joe Soro. I'll let you share some final thoughts on Max Christie before we head out.
I heard what you said, but it was coming in and out. And I was able to paste everything together here. I don't know.
So what do you expect out of that shooting guard position on any given NBA?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think where I was wrong that Max Christie wasn't an NBA player at this point.
Yeah.
However, his usefulness is going to come when it probably is at its highest in terms of the pressure.
Hmm.
Will he be? I don't know if he'll be able to handle it yet until we see him.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just don't know. The Lakers
I
still
mean,
need one. They need at least one more guy though before the deadline, and I think a big would be somebody that could help. Who, what, where? I don't know at this point where that's going to go. We're going to have to see here in about a week or so.
I just think, when you tell me and you show me the lineup and you show me the roster, Joe, and we've talked about this before, both on and off camera. The Lakers, they have two superstars that are still playing at an extremely high level. I know whatever hate you want to throw LeBron, throw it at him. So they're not LeBron lovers. We're not LeBron bashers. We're just tell it like it is with LeBron. But he's still playing, as you can see, at a very high level, right? Regardless of whether you think he's destructing the team or not. And again, I see the comments all day long. I can't say disagree, but I can't say agree. I'm just going to say it is what it is. But when it comes to the other three positions on the floor, Joe, I mean, these are players like let's just say Rui or DFS or Max Christie or Austin Reeves. Are they the long-term solutions at starters we truly need that will get us where we want to go?
Is there
That's
anyone on the roster? We've seen improvement with Gabe. We've seen improvement with Max. Connects, maybe getting out of his funk a little bit, his little
mhm,
wall.
mhm.
Can these guys continue to get better or sustain what they've done the rest of the way is going to be the important question. LeBron and AD, I believe, will play the way they're supposed to play it when it really, really matters. The issue, though, has been in the last two series is is LeBron gonna have enough juice to finish those games? AD struggles being by himself against those type of teams. He's gonna need help. There is no doubt in my mind at this point, based off how these guys are playing and how they're constructed, that this team absolutely needs a legitimate starting center at the very least. That center does not need to be a player that shatters the earth. We don't need someone that has to shoot from outside or has to be able to be blocking every shot. We didn't have that with JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee was decent a decent center, knew his role, caught a couple of alley oops, did his job for about 15, 20 minutes a game. And then on occasion, you throw in Dwight Howard, depending on the matchup, and he would do his thing. But there were series where you couldn't play Dwight. You couldn't really play Dwight in the Houston series in the bubble. You couldn't really play him in a lot of ways against Portland because Portland was kind of playing the same way, except they were only one star versus how Houston had two stars at the time. He did become a asset playing against Jokic at the time, but then he was non-existent in the finals because Miami played the same way Houston did and Portland did. Small, fast. Bam Adebayo is a legitimate big, but he moves more like a small forward in a big body. These are all questions that we have to wait to answer. We have to see how this develops. Matchup problems matter in sports. We used to hear a lot of that when we would watch boxing. Some fighter, let's say, can beat up pretty much everyone, but for some reason, this one fighter just had his number. Sugar Ray Leonard was able to beat everybody, but Roberto Duran got him, right? Tommy Hearns could fight anyone on the planet, but Hagler took him out. Matchup differences sometimes matter. That's where the Lakers are when it comes to Denver. They have a matchup problem there. And the only way they're going to beat Denver is if, based off what I've seen the last few years playing against them, they have to have enough going into the later stages of the game to where LeBron isn't dead tired. At the very
Yep.
least, LeBron and then AD being someone who can maneuver and work and do his thing without having to worry about what he normally worries about.
It's just that I'm saying what I'm saying, Joe, is when you look at Boston, and I know Eric was a Boston fan, was here earlier in the chat, and that's cool that we're having a Warriors fans and Celtics fans stop by, give us respectful conversations. I like that. I like that when fans from other teams can come in and respectfully interact with our audience. I truly appreciate that. But when you look at the Celtics, I mean, you have Brown and Tatum, of course, those are superstars, but you have Porzingis, you have White, and you have Holiday. Last year, those would look like NBA level starters, and it just that's what I'm hoping that at some point in time we could evolve into to pair alongside with AD and LeBron, and we don't have enough assets. As Eric reminds us, and we've said ad nauseum here on this show, to do all that. Again, trading away the D'Lo contract doesn't help the cause to get a bigger trade than to get the bigger fish that I think we need. We need a third star and depth, and we can't do both with what we have left. I don't think.
We're going to know one way or the other in the next, what is it now, 11 days?
Yep.
So there's some excitement about that. What are the Lakers going to do? It could be dread afterwards, or it could be, or it could be, One way or the other, LeBron and AD are being paid to be 1 and 1A. They have to come through. That's what they're paid to do, regardless of age, regardless of who is helping around you. If both of them wanted a more dispersed talent pool, they could have controlled that by taking less money. But
the only thing though is when I want to say, because I know Valanciunas is on your list of players, of centers that get, but the only thing that I fear of, Joe, is not the fact that just he's a 35-year-old on a 3-year contract. It is relatively inexpensive, right around 10 million, so it's not that big of a deal. You could probably offload that if it goes south. But Valanciunas himself, he's not the most swiftest of defender at this point in time in his career. And against Jokic, if we're doing it to put some size and bulk against Jokic, you got to remember, Joe, earlier this year, I think Jokic scored 56 on the Washington Wizards.
Yes, but Valanciunas wasn't playing next to Anthony Davis either. Do you believe that Jackson Hayes is a better player than Valanciunas?
Oh, no. Valanciunas can rebound and extend the floor. Well, he's not as great as extending floor as ever materialized, but he's still right around AD at 30 to 33% 3-point shooter, so he can space it out. He does have the big body to rebound, so it does solve or at least help a couple of the problems that the Lakers do have right now.
Another question about Valanciunas: do you see an issue if he has, let's say he's down low and you got to get it over his defender, so he's got him sealed, right? Do you feel that if Valanciunas seals his player and you throw it, because he's a tall guy, like he's legit 7 feet, if you get that ball over the defender's head and he can catch it, do you believe he can make a basket pretty effectively if that's a regular thing? Because Jackson Hayes can't. He struggles with that. So based off 2 things already, he would be a massive upgrade, especially if you're not relinquishing a first-round pick. That's how I'm looking at it. And of course, it's realistic. He's the realistic guy. We would love Kessler, less money, a little bit more athletic, younger, but we know that the general manager there is not going to allow just anything to go and get that guy. Believe me, I would love Sexton and Kessler without having to give up valuable depth and assets. Rui, right now, I think might be the one that's expendable. I think this team can definitely play without him and be successful. They do have DFS. If Connect can continue to keep doing what he's been doing the last few games, that's a huge benefit. You kind of solve that problem a little bit, and then you can use Rui's money to maybe get somebody of some substance. That's going to be my next kind of focus. I want to see what they could do with that because his contract is very friendly. It's going to be interesting, but no matter what, Rob is going to have to get a center on this team that's better than what they have right now, which is pretty. There's a pretty good chance of that with who will be available.
But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break podcast, and what we were able to bring you our playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break live simulcast tomorrow, starting at 4 p.m. as the Lakers continue the road trip against the Charlotte Hornets. And then don't forget, they've got a back-to-back on Tuesday against the Philadelphia 76ers. Tomorrow is 4 o'clock Pacific time. And then also as well, 4:30 on Tuesday Pacific time. Are any of those games national? I know the Monday game isn't, but is the Tuesday game TNT? I'm going to check real quick.
The Philly game is a TNT game.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because it's Tuesday, 4:30.
And then New York is on ABC on Saturday.
Okay.
And then the one in LA is TNT. The one on against the Golden State Warriors at home is on TNT. They're essentially on TV for every game except the Charlotte and Washington games. And then after that, they're not going to be on any national TV for almost 2 weeks until they play Denver in Denver on a Saturday. Yeah. A lot of Saturday games this year, or is that just me?
No, there's a lot of Saturday games. Again, they're trying to position
I actually don't mind
themselves.
it. I think it's good because I actually have been liking my Sundays not having to focus on anything. There's been no football for me really in terms of my team, and there's no Lakers. I can actually go do things on Sunday.
But Saturday night is they're trying to pinpoint days and times where they can maximize their exposure, and that looks to be one of their primetime spots is on Saturday night. So we'll see what happens, but it starts tomorrow against the Charlotte Hornets. Again, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them with us. We do try to go ahead and get to them as best we can. I know that, again, Darren and Joe have been going at it, and feel free to go ahead and discuss your thoughts with us anytime on the chat. Oh, no, just Darren was talking about your back and forth that you had the other day, after the fact. So
what back and forth?
I just it was on one of the it was after we had aired it. It's something you guys wrote to each other as far as I'm concerned, and then it got me into it somehow. I got dragged into it, and I was like, that's not cool. Don't drag me in, you guys. If you guys are having a conversation, keep it between you guys. Don't drag me into it, and don't make your opinions on it, because I'll just leave it at that. I respect you guys both, but please, you want to go down that road? That's not cool. But that's between you guys, and I'll leave it at that. But once again, it is, of course, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you watching, listening. Xbox, Kurt Affair, appreciate you modding. Appreciate Aaron, Darren, everybody out there, Tough, Natalia, a new viewer. Truly appreciate you liking and subscribing. Hopefully, if you can, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for stopping by, and I will give you the heads up when we are going to do that Inside Sports Fantasy Football on the Super Bowl, but it will be next week. As we get. Joe, do you like the 2 weeks off or like the 1 week off? I like the one.
I like one.
I like one. Yeah.
They haven't done that in years, though. I think the last one, what might have been the late 90s.
Yeah, I'd like that better. That to me was better. I mean, just you're in that mode. All right, I want to see the game. Now it's like 2 weeks, and then you have to get yourself back up again After being like, you go and check out other things, do other things, NBA, etc., etc. But yeah.
Well, here's what's coming, folks. Here's the future of the Roger Goodell saturation of the NFL. So President's Day is why isn't it showing on my calendar? Oh, there it is. President's Day is the 17th, so it's usually the third week of February.
Mhm.
The NFL is going to eventually have an 18-game season. They're going to have 2 byes, and yeah, I think that's how it's going to work. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to schedule every Super Bowl the Sunday before President's Day, so that people don't have to go to work the following day or school.
There you go.
So get ready for that, folks. It's coming.
Because it's
Although
all about the ratings and the money.
I'm trying to figure out, though, if they have an extra bye week, that might not work.
I was joking, though, this weekend that the 2 games consisted. The first game was all Matthew McConaughey, and the second game was all Peyton Manning for the advertisements. Didn't think you noticed that, but I did.
It's really. I love Matthew McConaughey. I love Peyton Manning. I don't like
3
Eli.
separate companies for Matthew McConaughey. For
Eli Manning is an irritant to me. I'm not a.
No,
I'm
but
not really,
Peyton, he did
Peyton's
one with
good.
Eli, but
Peyton's good,
Peyton
but
did
Eli
2 or 3.
irritates me. Yeah, he's like the dork who's trying to be funny, and I don't know. I don't. Whatever.
Hey, they're
Anyways,
cashing in. But my daughters came by. When was the last time Matthew McConaughey did a movie? I was like, you know what? That's
they're
a
not.
good question.
The industry is garbage.
Oh.
That's what's happened. I saw Idris Alba doing a what was it? The Borders.
Yeah, they all do ads now in the States, but they do them.
That's
They do them
terrible, man.
overseas.
That's terrible.
They've been doing
Overseas
overseas
is
for
one thing,
years.
but I don't know. I just see they cheapened the movie star, man, doing commercials
Yep.
for
But you don't understand, Joe. These
for
are
Uber Eats.
but they're multi-million-dollar to put spots on the Super Bowl, or even now the championship games. To put a spot in the championship games or in the playoffs, Joe, is like what it used to be to put a 30-second spot in the Super Bowl 10 years ago. It's big money. So you want big names to go ahead and push your products.
Where are the movie stars? Where are the movies, man? Where is that? What did they do to this industry, man, with all this garbage?
There's some good things out there, Joe. You just have to go ahead and find it.
Good things used to find you. Now you have to go look through
I
the
cover it
abyss.
every week on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I'll just leave it at that. There's some really good things.
Where are the blockbusters? Are we supposed to be excited about this new Captain America movie now?
I am. I want to see it. I can't wait to see it. I know not everybody is, but I personally, I can't wait to see it. I mean, after seeing so much of the dreck that Marvel has put out there in recent years, I'm excited to see Harrison Ford, to see what he brings. As a big Harrison Ford fan that I am, now that he's going to be turning into the Red Hulk, and seeing what Anthony Mackie, and I'm going to give props to Mackie because he works hard in this industry. He does a lot of projects. He never stops doing projects, whether it's high profile or low profile. He is out there doing a lot of stuff. So I'm giving him a lot of props, and I hope he does well as Captain America. I hope the movie does well. In fact, maybe a Marvel rebound this year with 3 Marvel movies out. So we'll see. We'll see. But Darren says Joe will rant and people will listen. I'm all for it. Yes. I'm always waiting for the next Joe rant. But,
yeah, give the people what they want.
Absolutely. Those Monday Night Wars, Aaron. Yes, those were fond memories indeed. But I'm not sure if we'll ever have that again.
You want a war? We'll get you a war.
Exactly.
We're gonna carve you up. God, that was so good. God, I remember that. The only guy in the world, the only man on the planet that could make jean vests and pants work was Scott Hall.
Yep. Rest in peace, Razor Ramon, indeed.
God, what a wait. Talk about losing a little bit of your childhood, man. Wrestlers passing away, man. That was kind of the beginning when you start seeing Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude and these guys going away, man. That sucked.
It's not surprising considering what they did to their bodies, but
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. By the way, speaking of pro wrestling, I will be having my monthly show, The State of Pro Wrestling, on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel with John Orlando, my tag team partner. We'll be discussing the upcoming Royal Rumble, how the month of January has gone so far for the WWE with the Saturday night's main events, and also as well, of course, Raw now on Netflix. Plus, we'll be talking about TNA and more. Go ahead and catch it this week. We're looking at doing Wednesday on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel. Joe Bill's Dodgers fast pitch. Yes, Dodgers fans will come. Yes.
Oh man, it's gonna. Oh man, this is gonna be the first time in my life that I'm gonna be watching all 162. I've gotten the 140s, but I never went to 162. So this is gonna be a workout this year. 2025 will be the year of the stamina. I'm gonna have to get into shape. I'm gonna have to get into shape in every way this year. That's going to be an interesting run here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Bloodhound. The money's just too big now. I know that again. It was a status thing, just like you would never see movie stars in television shows and stuff like that. But the money's just too good. Streaming has really brought out that as well. And yeah, absolutely. It's provided in some cases things for the better. I think that streaming has created a higher quality level of shows in the most part. And yeah, we'll check it out.
Will Sasso, if he used to be on Mad TV, he's doing podcasts now and doing other things. He does impression of Jesse the Body, and
Yes,
he does an impression of Scott Hall that was, oh my god, it was so good. What was it he said? He said Scott spotted him and he goes, I think he said something like, "Hey Sasso, you look like a guy that can go on a diet and eat." I was like, I mean, he had the pitch, he had the delivery. It was like I closed my eyes and I'm like, man, that's Scott Hall. It's Scott Hall. It's not Will Sasso. How the hell did he get that voice so perfect? Hey Sasso. My cousin had the fortune of meeting Scott Hall, and he said, "Dude, he is a funny guy, man. He was a really funny guy. He was quick and fast and good." So I always remember that. I always remember the say Sasso. Oh man, and he was, I thought DDP saved them a little bit, man. And I think there was just too much damage internally because look at Jake Roberts, man. I mean, every time I see Jake Roberts doing an interview, all I want to do is go and grab DDP and just give him a hug. Because I love Jake. Jake's music used to make me want to go through brick walls when I was a kid. The way he'd walk out, the music, it was like the perfect 80s entrance music. Oh man, it's good times those days. Good times. Gorilla and the Brain. Before I had any kind of next level comedic type things, I look back on some of those on YouTube. Man, Bobby and Gorilla were seriously those guys were Abbott and Costello of our generation in my book.
they were indeed. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We'll be on tomorrow, 4 p.m. We'll have it up for you as far as the simulcast is concerned. Of course, go ahead on Facebook and YouTube, and of course, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. We'll be simulcasting our chat as far as to everyone out there. Again, truly appreciate you joining us. And on behalf of all of us here at the Lakers Fast Break, we want to say thank you for taking a moment of your day and watching and listening to us as we remember Kobe and Gigi. 5 years later. Rest in peace, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Dead. Weekend is over. I can't sing anymore.